Welcome back to Thoughts from the Round Table. I'm Jacob.
I'm Pierce.
I'm Nathaniel.
And we're continuing Lord of the Rings with the Two Towers.
The gaggle of friends is back. What can I say?
Let's just get right into it. I think the first thing that we should really talk about... My eyes got big because I see that we've been trying... Let's just get off topic already. We've been trying this thing. By trying, I mean, this is our second time doing it, where we kind of write out some things to talk about. You might think, wow, you guys haven't done that? Well, clearly you haven't listened to any of the podcasts. I see our title is Lord of the Flies 2, Danger in the Doghouse. I think our first point is Lord of the Rings, World War what? So, would you like to explain that?
Yeah, so, basically a lot of people think that... Oh my gosh, I'm crying, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Whew. So a lot of people think that when Tolkien was writing Lord of the Rings, and obviously the movies are based on what Tolkien wrote, that it was kind of like a reference to World War II, or was it World War I? Which World War?
Well, it's kind of like, people kind of interpret both, because like, you know, in the story, you've got two really big bad guys, and it's kind of like, in World War II, well, there were three big bad guys, but like, everybody kind of ignores Italy. So you got like big bad Germany and big bad Japan, and it's like a two-front war. And then like Rohan and Gondor are like two of the big allies. But it definitely was not World War II. Now people will also say it could be World War I, like that had some influence because Tolkien fought during it. And he was definitely inspired by it. But once again, it's like, it's not the case. He's confirmed many times that Lord of the Rings is its own like self-contained thing, and that it isn't inspired or trying to say anything about like historical or political events. It's just a story, you know, partially for entertainment, but also to teach a moral that is timeless.
How do you think he was inspired by it? You know, because like you don't write something without like being inspired to write about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't like you take a bunch of like your past experience and what you find interesting, but this is a whole like another level. It's another one of those like Star Wars situations where like, how did they do it? How did they sit down and figure it out?
I think guys like that are just on a different wavelength. Like, we don't really know like, you think of the great creatives of like the modern day, like J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, George Lucas, like all those guys. Like, you can even like look at directors like
Spielberg.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is the other guy who does all the mob movies?
I guess you can argue Tarantino. That's not who does it, but
yeah.
I know who you're talking about. He
short.
did the Irishman. He did the Irishman.
Goodfellas.
Oh, what is he?
I'll just Google it.
What is he? He's
I'll just look at
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah,
Martin Scorsese.
Like guys like that, I just feel like they're on a different wavelength creatively than like what most people are. So like when most people come up with an idea, they're like, "Oh, this could be cool." Like these guys have the idea all planned out before they even start. And like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously he had a lot of inspirations. Like a lot of the characters, especially in The Hobbit, but even still in The Lord of the Rings, take their names from like Norse mythology and like medieval European stories, which he was a scholar, a professor of linguistics, basically. They call it philology. And so he studied like Germanic and Old English languages. I mean, he even translated some Arthurian tales and published those as well. So he was obviously really heavily inspired by those sources. But then I would say, like, as far as like how the war inspired him, I mean, that honestly kind of moves into another like big theme of the movie with like kind of how all that is green and natural and like simple is good, and all that's like dark and smoky and industrial is bad. Because World War One destroyed the people who fought in it and destroyed any like vestige of the natural world around it. You know, it was the time when horseback riding in war became unviable because they were just mowed down by machine guns. It's when poison gas was invented and you were killed by the very air you breathe. It's when everything was in smoking ruin and you couldn't even see your enemy, but you could still get killed by them. And so I think that kind of works into his books quite a bit, because you see like the people on the good side fighting for what's good and natural, and all of their towns and cities are built sort of into the countryside, right? Like in the Shire, they live underground, and Minas Tirith is carved out of a mountain, but it's part of it. Whereas the orcs conquer all the nature around them and kill it, and then use it to get more power.
That's actually like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's definitely what. So like I'd say he gets his heroism, like his heroic characters from like ancient sources, and his like enemies from like the villains from like sort of modern day. But again, like he is the one who created the story. Like you said, Jacob, I mean, he's on a different level creatively to just be able to synthesize all these different things into one amazing new story. So
I think that whole theme about fighting with honor, and how, like, you know, in World War One and in war now kind of sucks, right? I mean, war always sucked, but war now really sucks. Like, you're just a dude with a gun shooting randomly, hoping you hit someone, or you're gonna get hit, right? And there's bombs now, which is even worse, and drones. You can be a million miles away and kill someone, like we've seen. What, with the World War III scare earlier this year, when Trump used a drone to murder someone. Watching these movies is, we were sitting there and we were watching the Battle of now it's Helm's Deep, the Battle of Helm's Deep, and Jacob was like, "Man, if war was like this now, I think I'd sign up."
Yeah, the past has shown. Of course, you guys don't know this because you don't know me, but very scared of going into the war because I don't think I'm wired that way. Kind of like sleeping in a comfy bed and, you know, being lazy. And if I could fight with a sword and a shield, now it's a different story.
I also think, like, fighting with a sword and a shield, you can get good at, right? You can, like we've seen in these movies, and obviously, let's just say, these movies are not necessarily the most realistic depiction of medieval warfare.
I disagree.
Okay. But in a way, like, logically, you can wrap your head around, like, your life is in your own hands, in a way. Where, like, there's people coming at you, but they got the same stuff as you, and you got to get up and close and personal, and if you're more skilled, you're going to come out on top. Usually. Nowadays, it's kind of, like, what really scares me about, like, the prospect of war is how out of control you are, because you're thrown into a place, and it's just bullet fire, like you said with the horses in World War One. You know, with machine guns, you're just getting mowed down, and it's not like if I was the most skilled gunfighter in the world, and you drop me in a modern war, that's only gonna get you so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could, like, really the strategy with guns is just kill everyone before they kill you. But if they even get one shot off, that could be the lucky shot or the unlucky for you shot that kills you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Right? Like, but in Lord of the Rings, or in like older combat, where people did emphasize honor and battle was glorified. So, like I was saying, like in modern warfare, you can just die if you're unlucky, but in the older days in medieval warfare, you had the opportunity to, you know, like you said, fight hand to hand and be skilled at it, or block arrows out of the sky. Like, it was people glorified war, and it wasn't really good to glorify war, but it was something that you could actually be good at, and it wasn't something that you just had no control over. It was a way you could prove yourself. But it's
Dude,
less so now.
I get it. If war was like this now, I think a lot more people would be anti-war.
Yeah, because this feels like, I don't know. If war, like you said, if war was like this now, there's something like up close and personal about this that I feel like guns kind of take away from. Like, you have to be like, when you stab a person, it's you and him, and you're very close.
Yeah, you're taking his life.
Yeah.
You can see
Which,
his
like,
eyes.
obviously, none of us have ever killed anyone, so we're kind of, like, guessing this is how it feels, but, like... but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the other one feels kind of distant. This one would be up close and personal.
Yeah.
And we don't want to devalue, like, you know, the experiences of modern war veterans or anything, because they have to do some extremely difficult things as well. But oftentimes they have to deal with more hardship and pain and sorrow than, like, you would in ancient warfare. But it is different. It's changed a lot.
Yeah. I don't want anyone listening to this to think that, like, we're, like you said, devaluing, like, veterans or anything. All I was saying is that, like, back then there was a greater sense of, like we've said before. I actually, I don't know if I would even say that. It's just a lot. What would you say? What would be the
War is more romanticized back then, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that why it appeals to us?
maybe?
I mean, it was obviously awful back then. Your friends would still die.
Yeah, but, like,
And
I don't know. I guess it's because, like, we've kind of seen the effects of real war, like, modern-day war. We've never really seen the effects of this, in a way. Like, we've only seen it in movies.
That's true. That's very true.
yeah.
And that's why we think it's so cool.
Yeah, only seen it in movies or read about it in books and legends, and I think that always puts like a romanticized view on it.
Yeah.
Like when I think about Star Wars, like yeah, I'm enlisting, fly an X-wing, hell yeah. But
then to die in the cold depths of space when your ship is shot down.
yeah, that would
Like-
suck.
Yeah.
That would suck, dude. Also, space in Star Wars, okay, this is a whole different animal. Space in Star Wars is so stupid, right? It's not space, right? It's just like extra air. It's just black air. Am I wrong?
No, you're
No, you're
definitely
right.
Because there's like fire and stuff. And you know what really throws me off? This is not Lord of the Rings. I'm so sorry for getting off topic, but here it is. I was reading a Star Wars novel. 100%. It was like taken into the real effects of space. And it was throwing me off. It was talking about how they couldn't hear the sounds because, you know, it was in the void. And flames, they could see the starts of flames that were instantly extinguished by the void. And I was like, wow, this is super cool. But, like, what universe are we in? Anyways, back to Lord of the Rings. What's our next point on the list, Jacob?
We kind of already hit the industrialization part, so I think we need to talk about the man who stole the show, Gollum.
I think Gollum in this movie, listen, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I'm well aware of that. It's almost, as you would call it, a hot take.
Oh,
If we were to,
have
You
a
know.
hot take cannon?
yeah, figuratively, of course. Not a real cannon. But we say we load this hot take into this cannon that we have here, and we just light that fuse. Gollum? Kind of cute.
That is a hot take.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're
mean-
wrong.
What? He does have some pretty big, beautiful eyes.
Look at his teeth. Do you
Don't
think
look
he's
at his
ever
teeth.
brushed his teeth in his life?
Maybe early on.
I was listening to a podcast today. They were talking about brushing your teeth. Do you think that, what would you say are the percentage of people who brush their teeth less than 2 times a day?
Hi.
So 0 to 1.
What?
What are the
0 to 100?
No, 0 to 1. What is the percentage of people that brush their teeth either 0 or 1 time a day?
Oh. 60.
I'd say 60.
I was gonna say like 45.
Dude,
Yeah, I think most
we have less
people.
space.
Do you think like most people like brush their teeth twice a day?
I'd say No.
I'd say most people brush at least once.
Yeah.
I'd say most people in America brush their teeth twice a day.
Is that an American thing?
I would say that in other countries it'd be hard to tell because we're not there. But there's a big part of our world that's not industrialized, like kind of we are.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fair.
I didn't think
Where
of that.
there's a huge population that's brushing their teeth maybe once a year. You know what I
So
mean?
you think Gollum's like never brushed his teeth?
I don't know. I listen. So I got mouthwash the other day.
Huh.
Right?
Okay.
Have you guys used mouthwash?
Once or twice. I'm not a often user of that drug.
No, I've used it. Yeah, like you said, once or twice.
So I was thinking about it the other day, and here's the thing. I eat a lot of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
listen, it's
He does.
it's an easy meal. It's an easy meal. When I'm thinking I don't want to cook something, but I'm hungry, there's always a blue box of Kraft mac and cheese right in my wake. However, a kind of a downside of eating such a yellow food is that it can stain your teeth. And I'm brushing twice a day, you know, like a good boy. I'm like, well, what can I do to further prevent my teeth from staining? Well, do I, cut down on my intake of mac and cheese? No, I'm a junkie. I'm not going to do that. So I'll just institute another drug. And so I got this mouthwash, right? Fluoride mouthwash.
Mhm.
Stuff is awesome.
So you're trying to sell me on this product.
Dude, yes. Look, so I put this mouthwash. I take it out of my cabinet and I squeeze it out into the little cap lid and I swish it around. And it like, what's that sensation when you eat sweet tarts?
Invigorating.
Yeah.
What?
You know when you eat sweet
Sweet
tarts and your mouth like vibrates.
Ah, no.
On sweet tarts?
I think you might be allergic to sweet tarts.
No, well, your mouth doesn't vibrate on sweet tarts.
No one's does.
Mine does.
I just took a little poll, what you guys think. I would say 0.00001% of the population mouth vibrates on sweet tarts.
I mean, maybe Pop Rocks.
No, like sweet tarts.
No.
You know those? You get them in a tube.
Yeah.
They're like Mentos, but sweeter.
Yeah.
You put them in your mouth, and it's like ha.
No.
That's
No.
what the mouthwash does.
Are you thinking that's maybe feeling sour?
Well, yeah, that's what
where
it is.
it's zippy up here?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Or
talking
down?
about.
That's that's different.
Okay.
I would say that's a different feeling from the last time I used mouthwash. Mouthwash makes you feel clean.
Well, that's
This
what it is.
zippy.
Well,
Zippy.
well, like clean. I'm not saying that it feels like you're eating a sweet tart. I'm just saying it's kind of the same kind of like vibration. I feel so clean, almost invigorated. Like, I don't know. I'm just big mouthwash guy now.
Yeah.
I think so.
Nice.
Speaking of big guys, let's talk about Sam.
Dude, that was an awesome transition.
Yeah, I know. I'm really proud of it. He's so good.
he is still the best character after the first movie.
You don't
Into
think
the second.
Gandalf the White?
I mean, he's awesome. But Sam is the best.
Hashtag wholesome.
Sam is the definition of a king. You know, like that meme king. He's a king, dude.
Oh, like the Mario holding the crowns, you dropped this.
Yeah. It's like when he's looking down, it's like Frodo takes him by the chin. Chin up, king. He'll drop your crown. That's kind of how I imagine it. He's just so, like you said, wholesome. Probably the best friend. I sent this message to some people on Snapchat when we were watching this movie, and I was like, Samwise Gamgee truly is the most kind character to ever grace the pages of a book or the screen of a cinema. Absolutely and unequivocally. There's no argument there. He is the most pure, beautiful soul on TV. I'm gonna say everyone needs a Sam, right?
Everyone needs a Sam. And
Everyone needs
not
a
enough
Sam.
people have one.
No.
I know I do.
There's too, there's too many Frodos without a Sam. That's why we get murderers.
What?
Yeah, well, because Sam is helping Frodo resist the temptation of the ring.
Oh. To keep him on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of people out there.
Now I get that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
people.
wasn't following there for a second.
There's a lot of people who I think carry like a huge burden on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frodo. I mean, Frodo in this has legitimately a ginormous burden. The burden of the entire world on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people feel that burden in their everyday lives. More people than you think and more people than you know. You can look at someone and be like, that person is got it all together. And a lot of the time, they don't have it together at all. And a lot of those people don't have a Sam to kind of be there for them and to keep them from falling. And I think that's why we get a lot of shitty people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Whoa, I'm gonna edit that. Edit that out. Yeah, I think that's why like it's so important to surround yourself with like good people.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have trash friends, you're gonna be trash. If you have friends who have high morals and care about things that are important, you're gonna, whether you're an alpha or a beta, like either or, you're like obviously gonna follow them because like those are the people you're around.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is be a Sam. Be a Sam to your friends. Help them.
If you, yeah. I mean, if
I
you...
think that's fair.
Be a Sam.
Okay.
That's what we should all do.
I think that is what we should all do. More people need to be Sam.
More movies need to have big battles, which is what.
Gosh, you are on fire today, Jacob!
I am really proud of my transition so far.
Yeah.
These are the coolest battles in movies. Some of them, if not the coolest.
Yeah. Best big, like, large-scale battles, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The only thing that could possibly even rival them are some of the battles. Some of the battles of Game of Thrones. Which still don't. They still don't. And this is a modern, like, show. These battles are unreal.
Yeah. Some of, like, the detail they put into it, like, the little stuff, and then they expand it on a big scale is why it looks so good. Like, do you think the whole battle was... So, like, the Battle of Helm's Deep, right? Do you think it was, like, modeled? Like, it was models? Like, miniature?
I don't know about the orcs, but I can assure you that the castle is.
Yeah.
Many
Yeah,
miniatures.
a lot of the overhead shots, probably.
They have to be, right?
Well, I mean, they're not going to build a ginormous Helm's Deep.
That would be cool.
That would be cooler, but I don't think they got the budget.
Yeah. Speaking of, just a little off topic, we've been pretty good about staying on topic. But to go off topic, it is truly shocking to me that this movie only had a budget of $90 million.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like 20 years ago, almost. But even so, like, inflation hasn't been that bad. Like, that is a cheap budget for flying all these actors out to New Zealand, getting helicopter shots, and, like, modeling these mass scale battles. Like, it's crazy. Like, they could do that with on a what seems to be like a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Not to mention that these movies revolutionized, and I mean revolutionized in like the very like meaning of that word, CGI. Nothing was like this before this movie. I'm talking like the little things you don't realize are CGI because they're so good in this movie. Sure, it's got a lot of practical effects, but take, for example, this is a scene I always point back to when I'm talking about CGI in Lord of the Rings. It's in this movie. Sam and Frodo and Gollum are like walking, and they come across a stream. And Gollum splashes around in this stream chasing a fish. And that is an unreal scene for visual effects. Because Gollum, who is entirely computer animated, like, he was motion capped afterwards. So in that, they edited all those water splashes and stuff, all those water physics as he was interacting with it and splashing around to an unnatural degree of realism. And they did it back when, like, 20 years ago. I'm talking, there is videos of these people on, like, old white dinosaur computers editing these effects in that look great still today. It's an unbelievable feat in filmmaking.
Yeah. No, I mean, everything about it is just amazing. Like, like I could never tell. I remember watching them when I was younger, and even now, I can't really even tell like the difference between CGI and like real characters unless I like really look close. And even then, like it's really well polished.
It is.
Like even Gollum, like obviously there's nothing that looks like Gollum in real life, but he looks real within the movie. Like he doesn't stand out in a weird like palette.
Yeah, I think a good example is like me and Jacob. We did Indiana Jones 4. If you haven't seen that podcast, give it a listen. In that movie, there are CGI gophers. Gollum looks like 3 times better than those gophers.
Yeah. So just to snap back to the budget real quick, I did some quick research. 2002, $93 million is equivalent to 2020, $132 million.
Not that much.
That's still so cheap.
Yeah, and I was just looking at movies that have a higher budget, like without a doubt, including inflation. Like G-Force was $150,000.
Good Lord.
Penguins of Madagascar was a lot more. Like a bunch of stuff that you would be like, wow, that is a lot of money. Lord of the Rings cost way less. Way less. Madagascar 3 was $145 million. Like, I don't know. It makes you feel like the fact that they did this and made truly like one of the greatest trilogies of all time is shocking with this much money or with this little amount of money.
I think that's what keeps bringing me back to the battles and how impressive they are. Is just not only are they impressive within the realm of the universe, like in looking at them just as a cool battle that happened in Lord of the Rings universe, it's amazing. But looking at how they managed to pull that off with a budget that small and make it feel so gigantic. Like, talk about the best. This is by far, I think, the best movie trilogy for big battles ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't get these stakes anywhere else where you've got 10,000 Urukai.
Yeah.
That is unreal. Unheard of.
No, I mean, and it's so impressive and like well timed with music as well.
Oh.
I mean, when Gandalf and Éomer crest the hill in the Battle of Helm's Deep and charge down, and you get the music playing. Oh man, it's one of the most iconic scenes ever. Like, it's just, and it's beautiful. It looks amazing.
Dude, speaking of like beautiful shots, is this movie not just riddled with them?
It's loaded.
How many times were we sitting there and we're just like, wow, that's gorgeous?
Yeah. Pretty much any of the helicopter shots in the first hour where they're all running, breathtaking.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know they even sprinkle some comedy in it with Gimli being so much slower, but like all of the shots with that scene where they have like the mountains in the background are gorgeous.
Just like the shot, one that really kind of speaks out to me is like when Nathaniel was talking, when Gandalf in the very beginning of the movie was fighting the Balrog and was falling down that hole, and you just saw like light enter this dark cavern, and then as Gandalf and the Balrog plunged into it, and Nathaniel was like, wow, that would be a great desktop background.
Yeah.
There's so many of those moments where it's just like, holy crap. Any bit with Frodo holding Sting over either Gollum or Sam. Oh my gosh. That's so good. That's so pretty.
Yeah. It's so impressive.
You could watch this movie, I would argue, well, you wouldn't get at all the same effect, but you could almost watch this movie without sound in certain places.
Yeah.
And just marvel at it.
It'd still be breathtaking.
Yeah. But then you add the sound and you add the music.
A whole nother level. Is this soundtrack better than the first one?
Oh.
I would say without a doubt. I know Nathaniel's going to say no because he really likes the Shire theme.
Well, yeah, to be fair, but they do use the Shire theme in this movie at least once. I think even more, though. Like, towards the end. And I meant to talk about this anyways. Sam's monologue about the great stories that they had heard and about how the people in those stories, when times were dark and things seemed to be awful, refused to turn back and kept pushing on towards the end until they finally succeeded. And about how, even though things seem dark now, the day will shine again and the darkness is temporary. That beautiful, beautiful monologue. Like, over that, they play the Shire theme, and about, especially when he's talking about the light and returning to goodness. And it is so effective. It is so, that's the best word I can use. It is so effective and, like, just good.
All right, just to give it justice, I'm going to read just an excerpt. I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass, and a new day will come. Pretty good.
That's such a good excerpt. That's such a good quote. It's a testament to why these stories matter. Why Lord of the Rings matters. Because whether you're a fan of action or just good storytelling or whatever, you can find something in Lord of the Rings. We said this about Star Wars. We said, so what makes Star Wars so amazing is that it's such a huge universe that someone can find something for them within it. Anyone could. And I would argue almost the same for Lord of the Rings on a much more impressive scale. Because while Star Wars is an ever-expanding universe with games and books and children's novels and children's shows and adult shows, you know, it's got so much in there. Lord of the Rings is, I mean, in all honesty, 3 books, 3 movies. And it is so well done and so well crafted that I'd argue that anyone can find enjoyment in them, whatever you're interested in. Because of quotes like that, because of the music, and because of, I mean, just that cinematography. Whatever you want, it's there, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's not even mentioning, like, the wealth of great literature that we have in, like, the Silmarillion, and, I mean, they did make movies for The Hobbit, which are a different topic. But even that is, like, you know, that was the book that he wrote for his kids. It's meant to be a kid's story. Whereas Lord of the Rings is meant to be, he still wrote it for his kids, but he wrote it for his kids when they were grown up. And I think that that's why it's so appealing to us, is because it has the same themes, a lot of the same themes as The Hobbit, and even more, but it tells them in a way that appeals to, you know, people of all ages everywhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a great movie without great music, and boy, do I love the music. Specifically, Rohan. Pierce and I, just a little side note, we're both logged into our Thoughts from the Roundtable page on our YouTube, and a lot of our searches are Rohan music. Lord of the Rings theme. Like, a bunch of that, because, like, it's literally perfect music for, like, when you're working, because it's pretty inspirational. But, like, it's shocking that John Williams didn't do this score, because, you know, you'd think, oh, he'd jump on that quick. But, you know, whoever did it, who I don't remember, we talked about it last time, but goodness gracious, is it great.
Yeah. It's like the one amazing score John Williams didn't write.
And honestly, hot take here, put it right in the canon.
Okay.
I think it's better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's better.
I'd agree. I think it's my favorite score.
I've been struggling with this question a lot because, I mean, you guys know this. I shouldn't even say if you don't know. I mean, you watch the podcast. We find a way to mention Star Wars and everything because me and Jacob are such huge nerds for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But there has always been a special connection with me and Star Wars music. And Lord of the Rings has kind of come in here last year and dethroned it, which is a lot to take in for me. But as I watch these movies over and over again, and especially when I listen to the audiobooks that use the scores, there is not a competition.
Yeah, I'm not ready to be there yet. There's something special. Like, I don't even. I just think I can't logically choose what I like better because I have such an attachment and nostalgia to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And so, like, although I think that this is an unbelievable score, they're so both of them fit the theme that they're trying to go at so well and fit the mood. It's like really hard for me to choose. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that and choose no contest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always loved the Lord of the Rings theme, like all the different ones. I mean, from Shire to Rohan to Gondor, even like the Mordor themes, I think are really cool. Just they all, well, not all of them, but most of them just convey this idea of like glory, like they're glorious themes, and you get that in Star Wars too with certain themes. But I think that Lord of the Rings emphasizes that better, whereas Star Wars emphasizes something else.
Star Wars almost, which is almost why, Jacob, you're kind of right with the no contest. The reason why I said why Lord of the Rings has kind of taken that place for me is because it's got more of an, how do I say, it's got more of a listenability. That's not a word, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like I feel when I want to work on something, for example, right? I play a lot of Minecraft. And when I build in Minecraft, I like to play movie soundtrack music because it helps me to like be inspired. And for some reason, Lord of the Rings is just so much more inspiring to me in a way, which is because I think it's so, it doesn't feel as tied to a location. Is that something that makes sense? I guess Shire, that's why maybe I'm wrong. I'm struggling with trying to put this in words. I just think it has more of a, I don't know. We're going to have to cut some of that out.
Yeah. It's kind of transcendent. You know, like it transcends just its own movie.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, like Star Wars belongs in Star Wars.
Star Wars is Star Wars. When I'm reading a Star Wars book, I'm listening to Star Wars music. When I'm watching Star Wars, I'm listening to Star Wars music. If I'm playing Battlefront 2, I'm listening to Star Wars music. But it's almost like I feel weird listening to Star Wars music to other genres of things.
I say I'm on the other end.
Would you enjoy it like more universally?
Yeah. Like when I'm listening to, or like when I'm working on homework, I'm usually picking a Star Wars theme to work to.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I vibe with it a little more. The past has shown, and like this isn't anything new, I am much more attracted to science fiction than I am like medieval stuff for whatever reason. And not trying to be mean, both of you are very attracted to medieval stuff.
That's very true.
Yeah, it is.
Like much more than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I totally get how I would listen to Star Wars music because I like just really like the sci-fi genre, and you guys would listen to that because it is like both of them. Like we said, both themes fit.
Yeah,
and like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you get it.
It's personal preference at the end of the day.
Yeah,
but
you know what's not personal preference? How good the music is in all the battle scenes, specifically the Ant Army when they're attacking the orc factory.
You are on with the transitions,
I
Jacob.
must say.
You are on with the transitions.
I really like the Battle of Helm's Deep, but just from an entertainment thing, there is nothing cooler than watching trees kick ass.
Literally, like seeing them just chuck rocks and bowl over orcs
and put a freaking river like to attack an entire place.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only complaint about that scene is that it's not longer. Like, it is such a good scene.
Yeah.
Just these trees punching orcs.
I think my favorite battle scene my favorite battle moment from that is when this one ant just picked up 2 orcs and just conked them together.
I like the little details in that. Like, there's one ant that has a belly. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I relate to that. Also, I like when the water's coming and the tree that was on fire dips his head in the water.
Yeah, it's just the little things like that. You got to put yourself out.
I really, really like that scene.
So I think my question to you, Jacob, of course, we focused, if you guys were here for the first institution of the Gaggle of Friends, we talked a lot about Jacob's want of an orc army. Does this affect it?
No, not worried. Unless someone makes mutant trees.
No, when
Then
I
you're
was
screwed.
Yeah, I am shit out of luck.
when I was saying, would you almost rather refocus your efforts?
No, I think part of the draw to the orc army is the mobility. These trees are slow. They take a while to talk. I think there would be a language barrier.
Could be.
Orcs, on the other hand, they can wear my symbol on their helmets.
What would your symbol be?
Don't know yet.
A big ant.
Yeah. 100%. But he's going to be orange.
Okay.
Because it's a fire ant.
The orange ant of Keith.
I would lead armies. I would lead these weird men that are like strange. I'm sorry.
These are weird men that are strange.
Yeah, but there will be my soldiers as we take over mainland China.
Okay.
All right. Will they
I'm
have
sticking
guns?
to it. No.
Okay.
They have swords
Mm-hmm.
with the little,
Little hook.
yeah, like the little gut hook.
Yeah.
That's what they call them in knives. That's the only reason I knew what that is.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the big pikes, crossbows.
Yeah. No, crossbows kind of suck.
But they had them.
Don't care.
You gonna use siege ladders, ballistas?
I
Things
don't know
like
what a
that.
ballista is.
It's like the big crossbow thing.
They
They're
had a
like
grappling hook.
the
okay,
grappling
now we're
hook,
talking. Yeah.
and like the one where they just shot a normal arrow.
Crossbows are just so
and it killed the guy?
ineffective.
You don't think so?
Yeah. Here's why. A bow, pull back. Crossbows are like really strong and like have a lot more power, but you have to like have some real strength. There's no way you can pull it back from your hand.
Well, if you were an orc, you could. Like if you were an Urukai. So if you're making an orc army,
Yeah.
Listen, at that point, I'd just rather have them throw rocks.
What if they run out of rocks? You can carry a lot more arrows than you can rocks.
Not if they're orcs.
where are they keeping the rocks? Just in little like pouches on their belt?
They have backpacks.
I mean, I guess they would.
The lore behind this orc army just continues to grow.
And it will continue to grow.
I think is that all we have?
Yeah. Unless you want to talk about Chaz and El Dorado.
I do want to talk about Chaz. So okay, before we end this podcast, because I think we've actually got a very good podcast for you guys today. But before we end, I want to talk about a little thing that's kind of hit a little close to home during this movie, and that's the battle. We talked about the Battle of Helm's Deep, but really how it represents kind of the Battle of Chaz that happened just a couple days ago. Right?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to my beautiful autonomous zone. We don't.
Actually, didn't they rename it to like
It's Chop.
Job?
Yeah. But Chaz is cooler, so I'm gonna go with the original lore. You know.
Yeah.
But if you guys don't know, Chaz was a group of patriots. Dare I say it?
Patriots for a different country.
Patriots in the sense that early Americans were patriots, revolutionaries.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
bad word.
Revolutionaries, where they decided, you know what, screw this country. Let's make our own in the middle of downtown Chicago.
Seattle.
Seattle. I can't believe I messed that up. And they lasted long time, way longer than I thought. But,
yeah.
Like 3 weeks.
But you know, as the armies of the Urukai or the Seattle Metro Police Department encroached upon their borders, the people behind the walls had one last defense, and let's just say they were overrun. And unlike the men of Rohan, they had no wizard that was coming in the morning. They had no Rohirrim that would come to save the day. They were stormed, and now they're gone.
They rode out in one final charge of glory, and that was it.
And that was gone. That was it.
The zone is no more.
America is whole again.
But at what cost?
I kind of wanted to live in a world where America on the map was going to be like a slice of Swiss cheese. Just
I think that would be funny.
Bunch of holes in the country where we just have autonomous zones.
Would you like that, Nathaniel?
What, Swiss cheese America?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you like it so much, why don't you just marry it?
Okay.
So, that about wraps up our podcast on Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Coming up next is The Return of the King, the third and final installment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been great. You guys want to say anything?
Yeah. If you like stuff like this, where we rewatch classics of cinema, let us know. If you like Nathaniel, let us know. If you don't, maybe hit us up privately so he doesn't see it. Yeah, if you like our stuff, check out our Twitter and Instagram. Check out our channel on YouTube and on podcast apps.
And just a quick update regarding the third installment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We've got no idea when that's coming out. These last two have been pretty consistent. So if you're a fan of consistent thematic things on our channel, you're gonna have to take a little bit of a break because Jacob's going on vacation next week, and then I'm going on vacation the week after that. And so the week after that, we will probably do Return of the King, but it's gonna be a while. So here's the thing: while you're waiting for Return of the King podcast, why don't you go back to our other? It'll probably be over 20 episodes at that point. Well, you got lots of content.
Yeah, and also, we're getting close to almost 50 episodes total. So you won't run out of stuff.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thanks for coming on, Nathaniel, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.